We ready to start this. Welcome back, everybody, to the Finding Arizona podcast. I'm here with a very special guest. As always, I'm your host, Jose. I'm going to let you take the reins on this and introduce yourself and what you do.
Okay, great. I am Diana Muturia. I'm here based downtown Phoenix. I'm the CEO and founder of Clyn.
Clyn. Now, you came and sought me out and you wanted to come on the show and just tell us a little bit about the Clyn app. Why don't you kind of break down what Clyn app will do for people?
So Clyn app, in simple terms, it's the Uber for cleaners, handyman, landscapers, plumbers.
Yeah.
It's just connecting service providers who do small job services with offices and households. So it just helps them get more gigs, because that's one of the hardest things with small job services is getting more people to work for.
Now, we talked about a little bit of ourselves over off air, and I want to tell everyone that you are from Kenya.
Yes.
And you came in and you told me about your story and how you kind of came to America and the schooling and how all of this kind of came to fruition. Do you want to explain a little bit about the history of yourself and just kind of go over why this app has become such a big part of your life?
I was born and raised in Kenya. I came here when I was 18, first for a basketball tournament, 46ers camp. And what we didn't discuss before is that when we came for a basketball tournament, we were rooting to get scholarships, and that didn't happen very well, but it planted a seed in us of finding better opportunities and being open to more opportunities. And that's why I came back to study. So I went to Texas to study math and mechanical engineering, and now I'm here in Phoenix.
You did not tell me that was what you went to school for. I'm so amazed. That's one thing. Like, I feel like you have such a very beautiful story that kind of comes from just this like realm of not only diversity, but just a cultural significant path that not a lot of people have or go through. Being from a different continent and coming into a new country and learning a language too, on top of all the other languages. Like you brought up that in Kenya there are so many languages from tribes, and the main language was Swahili. And so you yourself know about like 4 different languages. How has that kind of played a part in your story of making this app come to fruition, that kind of level of moving from place to place to place to place?
Right.
And does the idea of having kind of this handyman in your life kind of affect, like, did that kind of come out of nowhere, or was there someone in your family that was a handyman or was a simple service kind of person?
Right. So in Kenya, it's very diverse. I think that really helped in talking to different kinds of people and having that mentality of not being scared because someone's different, but being curious and excited to know what is different about this person. Yeah. And then when we were growing up, we always had a house help come in. She would clean our home. She would sometimes cook for us. She would make our beds. Wow. And it's something very common back home. And we really didn't ask a lot about her as a person. But once we were grown up, we started knowing about her and, some of the goals that she had. Yeah. And some of the, her family and how her family's situated. And sometimes it would be sad knowing that she lives in the slum and that's her only source of income. Wow. And, sometimes people would cancel on her and she would be like, I was depending on that for food tonight for my kids. And that was really sad for me, and I didn't know what to do till, later on. That's when I said, oh, I can actually do something about that. Yeah. And also for me personally, when I started school, my accent was way heavier.
I brought your accent up, and I feel horrible about it now because we talked about the accent, but it's really good. Like it's only like every now and again.
Little.
Yeah, very little now.
I used to just sleep in bed and just like practice, like, with the American accent so people could understand me better. I used to do that, honestly.
Did you like, was there any, like, because I always feel like a lot of people who have multiple languages say they learn from like television and other people. Was there like a significant...
Movies, television series. I used to watch a lot of Big Bang Theory when I came.
Yes!
So
my favorite show.
I used to practice whatever Sheldon or, whatever they would say, I would just repeat that.
Those long theorems and everything, too.
Yes, exactly. Any word that sounded just, peculiar, I would try to say it again.
That's crazy. Like, I just, like, imagine that, because the language on there is a little bit advanced, being that they are theorists and they're doing science and technology for their work. And so I can imagine like that can get kind of thick in the kind of overall language of it all. But what better way to learn than from Sheldon Cooper?
None. I promise, none. I had like my first this is like getting out of topic, but
it's okay. That's what we do here.
My first year in college, I almost failed calculus, and it's not because I didn't know how to do it. It's because I thought the professor's American accent was too heavy for me to understand. And I used to ask him, "Could you please repeat that again? Please, just say that one more time." And he realized that, and he was very patient with me. Actually, after class, I would follow him straight to the office. And would like go through the same topic like 2-3 times. Well,
that just shows persistence on your end. That just shows that you are willing to go the extra effort, even if you don't know something. And I feel like this will kind of show you as the individual and the founder of Clyn App, that what you're willing to put through and kind of go through as far as adversity. There are a lot of startups that kind of happen and then they go by the wayside. Because they don't have that kind of experience in their lives, or B, it's overwhelming and cumbersome to kind of complete.
Right.
And so I feel like for you, I feel like it's gonna really show as far as you as an individual and founder that your upbringing and your life experience really show through in your app. And the one thing I want to ask you is what makes your app different, and what makes your app special that you can share with everyone?
I think what makes us different from other apps that may be doing something similar is that the story behind it. There are a lot of people who come to this country, and also people who are born in this country that are just kind of getting by, and they have skills, but they don't know how to reach a bigger audience for it. Whatever reason it would be. My reason was I needed money for school, to pay books, to pay for my first, winter clothes. And for others, it would be they're great in handyman work. For example, your dad, and he's just trying to get a bigger audience so he can make more money from the good skills that he has. So it just, I feel that what's going to make us stick is that I have that experience firsthand. There are a lot of people who would see a business venture and say, there's a market niche in this app. And they would open it, and they would get bored, and they would leave it behind when things get hard. Because they don't have that experience, and they don't know that there are actually people who depend on this, just like I did. So it really is a story behind it.
I feel like there's also kind of a nuance to it there. I mean, like you said, you've grown up in this experience of handyman and caretakers and people who live off of this livelihood. They're almost like they're a part of your life, because you've experienced how they work and and you kind of know what they need, because like you said, you've asked that individual the questions that needed to be asked to make for a better experience for them in the end. And I think that that's something that you have put into the app itself. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
because someone canceled doesn't mean it's got to be the end of, it has to be a horrible experience that her kids can't eat. If someone cancels, now you have the app, then very next person, you can keep going and finding, new, they have that opportunity to have more customers and new experiences. And, I think that's just something that you kind of already have as part of your tool and your knowledge base to better that experience.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things that I feel like in technology and in startups, there's so many kind of nuances that I want to go with it. Like, as of right now, where are you guys in the development of the app?
We have completed the app. It's just doing testing and debugging now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And talk a little bit of that experience of the testing and debugging.
Oh my goodness.
She rolls her eyes, ladies and gentlemen.
Gosh.
She rolls her eyes because she knows that it's an experience that is just a little bit harder to get to grasp.
I'm telling you, it took us like maybe 4 months to build the app.
Uh-huh.
And doing the app, designing, and just everything, but testing took a month, and just asking, like every single time there has to be something coming up.
Yeah.
And it's stressful, but it's important, because if you don't, figure that out, then what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you as the owner, do you get like a report, or do you are you in the thick of it? Are you like, because we talked about you have the experience, a little bit of experience coding. Do you kind of sit down with the coders, or what is kind of your process for the testing element?
As I said, there's no man who's an island. You have to have a team. You have to have people who think like you and have the same work ethic as you.
Yeah.
And for me, as right now, I'm not doing any coding.
Okay.
I'm working on the other things that are in business, such as, the legal terms that need to be done.
Yeah.
And talking to investors and going to expos and things like that. Because if I decide to do everything by myself, I'm just going to crash.
Yeah.
It never works doing it by yourself. You have to have someone that, supports you in their own strength. Yeah.
Have you looked into other, like, because you were saying that you've been talking with investors and things like that. Have you kind of sought out anything like SeedSpot? Do you know anything about SeedSpot?
I definitely know about SeedSpot.
Okay. Have you tried contacting them or going through them at all?
You know what's funny? I actually run the opposite way from incubators.
Okay.
And the reason why is because there's a lot of stealing of ideas, and there's a lot of spoon feeding, I feel. And some people who are there will help you all the way, and then when they tell you, okay, now go ahead and do your own thing, you're gonna crash, because you don't know how to build stamina of, if when you get a roadblock, you need to go through it. You just can't say, okay, I'm just gonna call SeedSpot and they're gonna give me answers.
Yeah.
So I try to work with people in the real world. I feel like an incubator is like a babysitting spot that kind of
I'd like your mentality.
Makes you soft.
Yeah.
And not really go out there.
I like the way you think. I like this, because I would have never guessed that. I would have never thought that that's kind of a fallacy of something like that. I always that would have been my first place that I would have jumped to. But you, on the other hand, went the route less taken, and I really am encouraged. Like, I'm really excited about this, because just the person that you are and the experience that you've kind of been through and what you're sharing with us today is giving me a kind of connection with you.
Yeah.
And I want it to see it all the way through. I'm definitely going to sign up. I'll let you know now.
Thank you.
And I would love for you to share a little bit about the app and what you hope to get out of it, and what you hope that people get out of it more overall, because that's what you're trying to do, is help other individuals. The other aspect that I want you to talk about is what you want to get out of launch. Like, what is the ultimate goal out of the launch that you are going to be doing soon?
Okay, so our goal is to have 2017. Our goal is to have 1 million users, whether it's on the side of providers or a side of people who need those kind of services. Put together, we're just looking to have 1 million people registered. It's a huge goal, but it's doable.
Yeah.
And we think that having this app and more clientele and more people signing up means that more families get to live better without feeling like they on a tight budget. And education is a huge deal to me. So if students are able to cut their neighbor's lawn and get like $20-$30 extra for an hour's job, then that would help them be able to pay for other things that they desperately need. It can be any kind of situation, but I feel that adding a little bit more money into individuals' pockets helps them in general. It's for example, for me, I don't need to worry about if I'm going to have money for lunch. I can just worry about school. I can worry about taking care of my mom or my dad or whoever is not doing well or who's sick. Like, I don't need to find myself scratching my head thinking, where am I gonna get the next $20? And there are people who are in that situation. It may be very tight. It may be, hey, I need some extra, a couple $100 for rent for next month. But in general, it's just helping people. One of my deepest goals is to give power back to people rather than the companies, and that's taking out the middleman. Like, for example, I don't want to bash any company, but I'm just giving an example, like Merry Maids. They send out maids to clean people's houses here downtown, Paradise Valley. But they get paid like $9 an hour. And the whole thing goes back to the company. So it's not really helping them, even though they do a super great job. They're still getting paid $9 an hour. Why don't we take that middleman out? And that house help can be paid, at least minimum wage. And or $20 or whatever amount of money that's a little bit more than what they're getting paid. It's going to help them in the long run. So that's what I'm trying to do.
So I'm going to be a little bit of the devil's advocate right now, and I don't want you to take it the wrong way, and I want you to kind of, because this is kind of the part where you're saying all the right things, and now let's get into a little bit of the harder questions as to I'm just going to ask really one overall. Some might say that because Merry Maids has a business part to it, that there's accountability. That there's, once you start having individual people, you lose that accountability. How, as the founder and kind of the boss almost, how do you really push for that accountability?
That's a great question. We're going to have accountability through the app, so you can review your person, you can give tips, how they get. And the thing is, if they get reviews, so there's two kinds of reviews. There's the stars, and then if they didn't get all stars, what do they need to improve on? And if they have really small stars, for example, 3 to 5, you're not gonna get them again.
Absolutely.
That's it. And it's gonna lower their chances of getting other clientele. So the algorithm is, if you're having really like 1 star, 2 stars, you're gonna be picked the last person compared to the person who's doing a great job. So there's that too as well. That's thank
you for answering that. Like, I just because I think that's kind of the aspect of having a startup. You have to ask those kind of really tough questions.
You have to ask them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just being in the cloud, and it's not good.
It's good to have dreams and hopes, but you have to be realistic. Yeah, you have realistic. To. Yeah, and so when's launch for you? When do you like? So launch is a specific day. When do you hope to have that first million too?
The first million is going to be at the end of 2017.
Okay.
The launch is going to be in March.
Okay.
It's just taking so much time with the testing and debugging. We actually thought we're going to have the app now, right, just ready right now on Google Play, but it's going to take a little bit more. Yeah.
And is it just exclusively through Google Play, or are you trying to get into, are you hoping to get Apple involved?
Yeah, we're going to get Apple involved. But right now we're just really bootstrapping. We're just going to work on Android because Android is more popular globally.
So we're gonna time out for a second, and then we'll pick it. We'll pick back up.
Okay, all right. Cool.
Okay. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry about that. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we're gonna get right back onto the conversation. I wanted to get into a little bit of where you grew up in Kenya, and you and your experience with your family and kind of the person that you are and how you develop, because you told me a little bit about your brother and your mom and just kind of growing up and how that kind of story. Share a little bit about that and how your mom, I feel like your mom is a big part of your life and a big part of your upbringing and the person who you are today.
She really is,
yeah.
Well, I think what makes it, what is really the big marker in my life was from 16. We lived in the countryside since I was very young, and when I was 16, my father, he was big in politics.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was huge in politics, and a lot of people knew him. He was very popular. But he lost one of the elections, and
wait, what? Whoa! Your dad was in a legit politician. That's amazing. That's
he was one of the freedom fighters too.
What?
For independence. He was really young. He was like 17, 18 at the forefront.
Holy moly! Yeah. That's incredible. That must be like a weird thing to say to people. My dad.
Yeah, it's like my dad was a freedom fighter, huh?
What? Yeah, that's crazy. That's so cool. I'm sorry, I stumbled, and please continue.
Oh, it's fine. And so he was big in politics. He got into politics, and ever since we were young, and we lived really well, of course. But when I was 16, he lost one of the elections, and it kind of affected him in a very emotional and mental state, and he started becoming very abusive in the house, physically, emotionally, and it wasn't as bad when my mom when we were growing up to my mother, but it became worse after he left. He retired after he lost that election. And politics has always been his life.
Yeah.
And I, as much as it was a very tough and very painful situation to see what my mom was going through, I understood what my dad was going through. Yeah. And I know this because it's something that has affected me as well, in terms of just being, when those people who are really attached to their job, that if they lose that job, they get into this state of depression and anxiety. I'm the same way. I'm a workaholic.
Yeah.
That's all I know. And the time that I, stopped going to school and couldn't find work at a certain point, it affected me emotionally. And sometimes it was hard to get out of bed because you just don't know what your purpose is anymore.
Yeah.
And so my mom, my brother and I, she organized a small, apartment, and we ran away from home. And so my dad always tried to look for us and send people out to look for us. It was just, if I try to explain it, it would sound more like that African movie that
Which one?
like that African movie with rebels who like a guy sends rebels to find people and stuff like that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It would sound just really just crazy.
Yeah.
But after I finished high school, my mom said, you need to go to the United States immediately. And I didn't understand why. I was just like, well, you don't want me to be at home? I'm hurt.
Yeah.
But she had a reason why. It's because at that time, I don't share this much, but at that time, my father was planning to put me in an arranged marriage. At that point, it was kind of normal, but I'm very stubborn, and I don't like people forcing me into things that I don't want to be in. So my mom definitely knew this, and she sent me straight. She said, you need to go right now and go to school right now, and it's not going to be in the country. So those are one of the things that was a big marker in why I'm here right now. And to see my mom go through all that and be just a strong person and handle all that burden with grace, from living well but in an abusive relationship to running away, starting a new life. We started off with a mattress in the middle of the living room, no bed, nothing, and slowly got a TV, and then got an actual bed, and got a sofa set. And seeing her do all that kind of gave me strength. It made me realize that I can never give up.
Yeah.
You know, if someone says something mean to me, it shouldn't, it disintegrate me. It's the last thing that I want even to think about in the first place, because there's so many people who've gone through worse. I don't have an excuse to give up.
I don't even know where to go from there, because that's just downright, like, it touches you in a very, just like deep down inside, where there's a lot of things in my life that I almost, like, I feel like I take for granted. And hearing your story, and kind of like, I thought I had it bad, growing up. I thought that I went from in Philadelphia and in Allentown, where I had all my friends and all these things that I thought I would have forever, to go from that to a desolate land of a tribe that is barely, it's a place of cultural significance, but it's so isolated. It is very much time stands still for that tribe. And I didn't think that I could achieve anything in that realm of, like, you don't see any progress. And to go from that to continuing my education and continuing my degree in school and things like that, and that kind of development, and seeing the beauty in where you grew up and where you come from. And I think that story kind of just really touches me, and makes me understand that we share something, you and I, but at the same time, I have to learn to appreciate the kind of opportunities that not a lot of people have. That, like, like you were saying, to be in a, not a forced marriage, but like for your father to want to want that
is kind of, why doing that?
Yeah. And it's beautiful that you've come here and you've gotten where you are today.
Yeah.
And I think that you have so much more to experience, and so much more that you're going to achieve. And I only wish you the best.
Oh, thank you.
And it's don't worry, like, these bumps and hiccups and all these trials and tribulations make up the person that you are today. And
without those challenges, we're not the people who are right now.
Oh, one more break?
Oh, one more break? Okay.
We're going into one more break. Give me a second. Okay. All right, we're back. Where were we? I forgot. We went on a tangent, and then another tangent, and then So the app is
Uh-huh.
launching soon, and we went into a little bit about your launch party.
Mm-hmm.
How so? The first million in 9 months. That's your ultimate goal.
Mm-hmm.
And you talked a little bit about your mom and
Mm-hmm.
how she's come and affected your life.
Mm-hmm.
If you had an opportunity to, talk with her and say, what would you say to her if she were here right now?
Mom, I love you so much. Yeah. She has been. You have been the biggest pillar of my life, and I wouldn't think of being here right now if it wasn't for you and her and your sacrifices. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Emotional.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, that's why I asked, because at the end of the day, your parents make up just a lot of your life, and
Mm-hmm.
You are the person you are because they put you in the situation that you had been put in.
Right.
And I hope that your mom listens to this, and I hope that there's an opportunity for her to really listen and understand that you are making a huge effort
Mm-hmm.
in what she wanted you to go out and do. And I hope that through this conversation that she'll just take away and understand that you fulfilled a lot of what she hoped for, and that she just knows that she loves, just knowing that you love her and she loves you, and,
Mm-hmm.
and that you have that experience together. And that's all I can ask for. And man, I hope I have a new fan in Kenya.
Oh yeah, she's definitely gonna be a fan. That is for sure.
Yeah. I just to say that we've reached someone, in another continent,
Yeah.
and have that effect on them. And
She will share with everybody.
I hope so.
Everyone.
The funny thing is that we run this through Squarespace, so like the algorithms and stuff like that, like
Yeah.
we get to see the site map, and
Yeah.
I've never seen it like other than the United States.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for it to like go
You like
global.
boop, Kenya, boop, Nigeria, boop, India.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, it would be nice. I would hope so. I mean, I hope that happens, and this really is just an opportunity to get people's stories out
Yeah,
there. And
yeah.
so, I think this is a cool experience for me, because I know the kind of person you are, and it gives me an opportunity to say thank you to someone who
Thank you.
who comes
for
in here
having
and
me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
And it's I hope that people love your app, and if they if it does become a huge success, that you won't forget about me, and you come in and tell us a little bit about how
I will be here, even though it's just for tea. I'll be here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have it any other way, and it's just I only have the best intentions for. I hope that this this little podcast can help boost morale around the app. And
Mm-hmm.
do you want something for your country, for your family? Do you want the app to be available out there for them to kind of hope to have develop a little bit more of
Most
what's
definitely. Yeah, it's gonna be available in Kenya as well.
okay?
Small job services is huge. It drives the economy.
Yeah.
So it's definitely gonna be out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any stories that you can share with us about, like, testing or developing that kind of can enlighten someone who is trying to start an app, or trying to develop theirs, or
Right.
trying to figure out something in their life that will help them
Right.
make it better?
Well, the first thing I would say is protect your idea.
Okay.
Very first thing.
Okay.
Before you even touch any code,
Okay.
protect your idea.
Okay.
Get a patent, get a provisional patent, trademark if you need to.
Okay.
Find out who you need to talk to educate you about copyrights.
Yeah.
That way that you're not doing so much work and someone just takes it away. You don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
Of course, you want people to be helped, but it was your idea first.
Yeah.
So you need to protect that first, and then dive into the coding and getting a team. As long as you have a story, that's why we're here. Finding Arizona podcast.
I'm gonna give you one of these shirts. What size are you?
I'm medium size.
Okay, I got one more medium.
I'm gonna wear it.
Yes, absolutely.
I
Yes, I will give you a shirt because I can't imagine anyone better to wear it. I cannot. Besides my beautiful girlfriend.
Of course.
I can't imagine anyone who I would more rather to have that shirt be proudly worn than yourself. So thank you.
I'll proudly wear it.
Absolutely. This is gonna be so. I can't wait till this podcast comes out because it's gonna be so much fun for people to listen to. I think you're just such a open and honest person about what you do, and
thank you.
And again, it's so great that your story is being told, and I think that it should be a movie at one point. And do you have any people that you look up to that you like want people to know about because that they gave you the experience or they gave you some kind of nugget of truth or nugget of knowledge that you want people to also seek out and kind of look into?
I would say the person who I look up to is the 3 women who worked for NASA. Have you watched Hidden Figures?
No, not yet, but I want to watch it. I want to watch it. It is
as good as the preview. I promise you. It's really good.
Oh, awesome. I've only heard wonderful things about it. And when you have a movie that was it SAG Awards, Golden Globe Awards, it's just piling on, and I can imagine the Oscars.
Right.
It's just like I am gonna watch it. I just haven't had the time to sit down and watch it.
Okay. Other people that I would think of who I look up to, I would say, well, I look up to a lot of African female leaders. They're ancient female leaders who were warriors and led communities and led kingdoms, and
That's awesome.
they took people to war and they won. As much as that is not very applicable right now,
but it shows still, strength.
Yes, it shows strength. It shows that it doesn't matter what gender you are. You can do it. Yeah. If you put your foot down, you will do it. So those are the kind of people that I like. For example, Nzinga, she's called Nzinga. She led a huge army and she won. At that time, they were being colonized, I think, by the French. And the guy who called her for a meeting put a carpet for her to sit on the floor. Yeah. And she called one of her servants, and the servants was on her knees and her legs, and she sat on the servant so that they could be on the same level, so that she can remind them that man that we are on the same level. You came here to negotiate. We're on the same level. Yes. And that's how she just demanded for respect. And
that's awesome.
You can't really think about it like she just, hey, come here, and immediately that servant was on her knees and her hands because she knew exactly what was going on. So
you're not gonna try and intimidate me by making me sit on the floor.
Exactly. And it applies to both genders. Someone would try to intimidate you. Oh, I have a bigger podcast, or I have a bigger radio station, or I do TV, and you're like, well, I am really good at what I do. Yeah. And so if you want us to be here and talk about this, remember we're on the same level.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a cool story. I've never heard that story before.
Yeah,
that's an amazing story.
It's an old African story.
Oh man, that's so. We're gonna hang out some more. Okay. I feel like we're gonna hang out a lot.
I feel like there are more stories in the Native Indian community too.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're amusing and.
Yeah, I feel like that's the other thing that I like to not research, but look at.
Yeah.
If you look at a lot of stories, ancient old stories, they have similar paths.
Yeah.
Whether it's the story of the hero, the story of, you know, someone coming from behind, or some kind of war story, like they're similar in the sense that it may be different names and maybe different, you know, ways to get to the end product, but they all share that kind of
theme that's common.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love, like, I love comparing them.
Yeah.
Like the kind of nuance, because, you know, whether it's we don't have the same environment, you know, we don't have the same animals, that sort of thing. Like, you know, but we still end up at the same place.
We always end up in a common ground.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. It's so much fun. I love this. This is so awesome. Cool. You know, we're going to reach the end here. And at the end, this is an opportunity for you to share, you know, any last minute things that you don't think, like, is there anything that you feel like you haven't said yet or want to share with anyone out there?
I don't know. I feel like this has been a very vulnerable spot, but yet very comforting. Aww. That I'm able to be vulnerable and just be very happy doing that.
Oh, so thank you.
I'm really, I
it means
really
a lot.
love this. I really, really love this.
I really appreciate it.
I mean, I said this off air, but I think you're like radio material. You need to be bigger than this. Guys, from your
voice to above.
Are you listening to this? They need to be bigger than what they are right now.
Thank you.
This is amazing.
And so we're reaching the end, and this is also the opportunity for you to let everyone know where they can find you, what website, what events, where they can go to, how to sign. Like, this is your chance to just plug everything. Okay. So let them know all the social media, everything. Just let them know right now where they can find you.
Well, you can find me on my website, www.clynpro.com, www.clynpro.com. And I update it almost every day. My social media is updated every day. You're able to pre-register if you're having those small job services. Yeah. You're able to register now.
Dad, if you're listening, pre-register right now, please. He listens to every episode.
Love you, Dad.
You know, the funny thing is, though, he's like, every time I listen to you, you laugh too much. But this one, I feel like we laugh for the right reasons.
Right.
And I feel like he's going to hear this and be like, why didn't you tell me about this? Well, I wanted to just be surprised because I really do want him to do better. And I think this is an opportunity for him to really get out there and make it a bigger conversation for himself. So thank you so much for making your app. And please continue. Where can your social media is still at Clyn App?
Just Clyn App, CLYP app. And that's for everything. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. If you need to find videos on YouTube, it's my name, Diana Muturia, but I make sure that I have those links in my
description.
Clyn App, platform, so that you are able to divert into those videos.
Awesome. And when is the launch party?
There's no set date.
There's no set date yet?
There's no set date yet. But the app is going to be available. We're going to have a soft launch in March. Okay. So it's going to be available, but having the party and having a huge launch, we haven't set a date yet. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, please, if you're listening to this and you have a small business or you're wanting to become a small business, this is an opportunity for you to go back into your childhood. And you want to mow that lawn, you want to paint something, you want to help out your neighbors. This is your chance to make that a legitimate business and make that money a little bit more in your life. And it's an opportunity to help someone with an incredible story.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And as always, you can reach us at all of our social media at Finding Arizona Podcast. That's Finding Arizona Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And with that, we say good night.
Good night.
You. Good night.
Thank you.